Back in that brief era of companies trying to get as much money out of physical media rentals as possible, someone figured that disposable discs were a good idea. With this came environmental nightmares like FlexPlay, which Technology Connections has a video about, and DRM-ridden wastes of space such as DivX. That's DivX in all caps. These were discs that needed a specific player with telephone connection capabilities, an online account, and payment depending on how many times you wanted to watch the film, but as such it was cheap to buy the discs, because they were essentially rentals. None of this is the problem that I have and I'm talking about today, however. The part of this I take issue with is the fact that before DivX was even dead, an entire year before DivX died, some bright spark named Jerome Rosa was working on a new video codec and decided that it was a great idea to name it DivX. That's capital D, lowercase iv, capital X, pronounced exactly the same. This wasn't some coincidence either as a result of him not knowing about the original all-caps DivX, because of it never really seeing any kind of widespread adoption. They knew full well that capital DivX was a thing that existed, because the original name of lowercase DivX had a winking face emoticon after it as a deliberate reference to this completely and irrelevant failing physical media DRM system. Why? Like, I understand what you're referencing, I just don't understand why you're making the reference, and why are you making the reference to the entire name of your thing? That'd be like if I just randomly renamed my YouTube channel to, like, Disney with capital N-E-Y or something. Like, I know what you're referencing, but why are you referencing it? What's the relevance? What makes it worth naming your entire project after?
It's not relevant, is it?
Apparently all of this was just fine, and you can copy any brand name you want as long as you change which letters are capitalised. Apparently the law is actually that you can register trademarks for similar or even identical names if they're products in distinctly separate fields. But surely these aren't. They're both very firmly in the media space, especially considering the existence of lowercase DivX compatible DVD players later on in this. In fact, as soon as they dropped the emoticon, they actually tried and succeeded in copywriting the name lowercase DivX. Actually, now I read about this more, it seems like the lowercase DivX company didn't actually even invent the lowercase DivX codec. How is any of this allowed? First, you blatantly steal someone else's name and change it so little that it's beyond even the realms of copy my homework and change it up a bit so nobody notices. Then you build your entire codec based on a hacked, reverse-engineered version of the Microsoft MPEG-4 version 3 codec, all in aid of exporting videos to AVI containers. This guy went to all of this effort over the course of about a week, just because newer versions of Windows Media Player wouldn't play as
portfolio.
Then 2 entire years later, some other guy found out about this happening and dragged him into his company, lowercase DivX Networks Inc., to develop an entire new MP4 codec from scratch, leading to the Open DivX codec, lowercase, which they then hosted on a website which was for some reason known as projectmayo.com, purely because of mayonnaise being French and hard to make, because the hacker who reverse engineered that Microsoft codec was French. I guess that's the relevance of France. Then in 2001, someone called Sparky wrote another version of the encoding algorithm, which he called Encore 2, with no space for some reason, which they hosted for about 7 minutes before taking it down because, quote, the community really wants a Winamp, not a Linux.
What?
What does that even mean? Linux. That's an entire operating system. This is a media codec. That's like a video LAN employee saying, oh no, I can't release my new and improved version of VLC Media Player because the users all want Windows Media Player and not macOS. Just, what? This is more illogical than even that, because lowercase DivX isn't even a media player, it's literally just the codec. For some reason, this just gets even more convoluted, which is a lot considering the fact that I haven't fully understood any of why this even started happening in the first place, with the initial French hacker moving to San Diego with, quote, nothing but a pack of cigarettes, where he then made what is now known as lowercase DivX Inc. So let me get this straight. There's a failed video rental system with the already strange and meaningless title capital DivX. Then, before this is even discontinued, a Frenchman with compatibility issues blatantly steals this name, joins up with some other guy where they start adding extra bits to the name, split up again, leaving us with the one with the extra bits, and now another one with the same name of the second one. So we've had capital DivX, lowercase DivX Wink, lowercase DivX Inc., lowercase DivX Network, open lowercase DivX Inc. again, lowercase DivX LLC after a company that bought it from Rovi in 2014, the DMF media format using .divx file extensions, and the list of things goes on. Oh, but there's more, because then you start getting the lowercase DivX codec being incorporated into DVD players, allowing you to play discs burned using the codec. So now we've come full circle and have DVD players which are compatible with uppercase DivX discs but not lowercase DivX discs, and players which are compatible with lowercase DivX discs but not capital DivX discs. What is going on? While admittedly by the time the lowercase DivX compatible players were coming into circulation, capital DivX was completely dead in the water, that doesn't change the fact there is a non-zero chance of someone in like 2009 finding a second-hand capital DivX disc in some charity shop or on eBay for super cheap because it's literally impossible to play now the capital DivX servers are gone, and thinking, oh hey, my DVD player can play this because it's got a logo on it that says DivX. Only to be crushed by the overwhelming weight of massive disappointment upon realising that no, they cannot in fact play DivX discs because their DVD player is DivX compatible, not DivX compatible, you big idiot! Especially considering the fact that, for some reason, in spite of the fact that, bearing in mind the people behind lowercase DivX were fully aware of the existence of capital DivX, the lowercase DivX logo has all the letters either capitalised or in a font that makes them look capitalised, so it literally looks like capital DivX. This doesn't even impact me at all in any way whatsoever. I have no idea why this gets to me as much as it does. This just started because I was aware of there being a codec called DivX, and I'd occasionally see an ancient video online with the DivX logo in the corner, and then I also heard about the copy of the DRM thing, and I was like, are they related? What's going on with that? And looking it up led to this. At the end of the day, this is just a dead DVD DRM system, and as good as dead video encoding system, which I can realistically just ignore and move on with my life without giving a second thought to. I think the anger just stems from the fact that, as far as I've seen, nobody else seems to acknowledge any of this, and that may just be because this is completely irrelevant to everything, but nobody talks about it all the same. Also, I wrote this thing like 4 years ago. It's entirely possible this has become all the rage to talk about since, but probably not. And now there's lowercase DivX plus HD, which sounds like a satellite TV service, but this isn't really even anything. This is literally just an MKV file containing H.264 video and AAC audio with a bit of XML thrown in for metadata, but the MKV container format already grants you loads of options for metadata, so I don't know how much benefit this gives you, but some apparently. Oh, and we've also come even more full circle because lowercase DivX now has its own DRM system. I say now, this was all like 15 years ago, but still late stage lowercase DivX. It has its own DRM system. Lowercase DivX Video on Demand was apparently so effective that major Hollywood studios saw it in 2009 and said, yeah, that looks good, do that. And then there's Dr. Lowercase DivX.
I love you, random citizen.
And a command line interface for it and compatibility with game consoles. And at this point, I think I've got my point across. I can't believe mild confusion stemming from my existing knowledge of what capital DivX was conflicting with seeing the lowercase DivX logo on as a watermark on some old YouTube videos or film clips on the old sixth form Media Mac or something has led to this. And also, somewhere in the middle of all of this, in like 2002, a bunch of the developers of lowercase DivX 4.0's incorporation of that Encore 2 that Rota went to San Diego over, so I guess it was good enough after all, and that Winamp Linux comment was just as nonsensical as it sounds, finished this task and then decided, you know what, we're out of here, and took Encore 2, which they'd already finished fitting into lowercase DivX 4.0, mind you, and made Xvid, which was essentially an open source fork of the codec. And then Xvid ran into patent troubles, which is surprising considering that for some reason there's now an issue with this being somewhat based on stolen reverse engineered code, although they did just how is the one with the technically completely different name the one that's running into issues? This situation is such that when you search for DivX online, half the time you get the results for lowercase DivX and half the time you get the results for capital DivX, regardless of what capitalization you use in your search term. This isn't important at all. This is just a low effort video of a thing that I wrote a bunch of years ago that was just mildly frustrating, and that's all I have for you this, let's say, week. I don't release weekly. I don't know. Get out of here.
Go away.